People tell me I'm different from the other leaders. And I am. I don't work for the wealthy and well-connected. I don't think government should be run for their benefit, like it has for decades. I believe that government should work for all of us. Investing in healthcare, cutting costs for families, and tackling the climate crisis. Not just saying the right things, but actually doing them. Now that's different.
Not just saying the right things, but doing them. That's essentially Jagmeet Singh's message here in the NDP's first campaign ad of the 2019 election. It's a great ad that lays out the NDP's vision. It challenges the social and political and economic elite who have dominated our politics, as Jagmeet says, for decades, and shifts the priority towards working people, towards investing in communities, investing in healthcare, investing in families, and building a society that works for working people and not just for the wealthy and well-connected. I think it's a strong ad. I do think there is one limitation in it, and that limitation comes largely from the lack of connection around taxes. I feel like the opening where it's like the wealthy and well-connected dominate politics, I'm going to challenge that and invest in you. The connection there could have been made on taxes. As I've noted on this channel, the NDP has a unique tax policy. And the NDP has a policy that on wealth taxes is very popular with liberals, NDPers, Greens, Conservatives, the whole gamut. They all love it. All the regular voters love that, regardless of their party, regardless of their age, regardless of their region, regardless of their gender. And so I think if he was like, we're challenging the wealthy and well-connected and the politics of the status quo of decades-old, nature, and I'm going to tax the rich to challenge that, and by doing that, we're going to raise standards on healthcare, we're going to help regular working-class families, and, I'm not just going to make good promises and offer kind words, but actually in a concrete way achieve the objectives I'm laying out during this campaign. So join up with me and let's do politics differently, both before and during and after elections. That's the message to me. And the ad captures most of that, but it doesn't hit every note. And I actually think, this is not to be roundly critical of the ad, I think that the French ad that the NDP put out today, aimed largely at the Québécois audience, French Québécois audience, is perhaps more effective at this.
Je ne suis pas comme les autres. Comme vous, mon identité, c'est ma fierté. Pas de cadeaux, pas d'héritage. J'ai assez connu les injustices pour savoir me battre. Et maintenant, je suis prêt à me battre pour vous, pour affronter l'urgence climatique, pour que les plus riches payent leur part. Et pas d'exception pour les pétrolières. L'avenir est trop important. C'est simple. Je m'appelle Jagmeet. Vous connaissez l'NPD? Maintenant, vous savez de quel bois je me chauffe.
Rather than sort of weave around the idea of Jagmeet being different, in the first ad it's Jagmeet's different, and you think they're going to talk about, his outward appearance being different, when really he says the difference is how he approaches, tackling inequality and injustice in Canadian society. Here, they open with Jagmeet being proud about his heritage, saying that much like many Quebecers, I am proud of my identity, I'm proud of my heritage, I'm proud of who I am. And we share that. And I have fought, discrimination, and that gives me a sense that I can fight for regular people. But in that ad, Jagmeet more directly talks about asking the rich to pay more. Jagmeet also talks about how fossil fuel companies don't deserve any exceptions in this society, that we can't just let fossil fuel companies get away with things as we have for so long. And he notes that in this fight, the future's too important. We can't, slack off. We have to go now. There's an urgency in that ad that maybe isn't in the first one. And you can see the difference in the slogans. The NDP's English Canadian slogan is, we're in it for you. In it for you is the slogan. And it's not bad. I like it. And it shows that Jagmeet and the NDP team are going to represent you and your community and your family and people like you, trying to build a good life in Canada. That we're not in it for the social and economic and political elite. We're not in it for the 1%. We're in it for you. We're in it for regular Canadian watching this video right now. But it perhaps lacks the bite of the Quebec message, the Quebec slogan, which is "On se battra pour vous." I think that lacking that bite is a missed opportunity in the English one. I think that is something that I would have done differently. I would have said, for instance, that Jagmeet is going to fight for you against the entrenched interests. And which is kind of what he says, but he doesn't say it. He says it without saying it. In the Quebec one, he says it, and then he says it, right? Like, he says it implicitly and then explicitly. And I think that message is a good one, and I think that's something that Canadians want to see. It's something that we see from Bernie Sanders. It's not just, we're going to do things to help regular people. Fantastic. But to do so, we need to challenge the social and political and economic elite, who are barriers to our better society. And he did this when he introduced the New Deal. I noted this in a previous video. A couple of months ago when he introduced the broad platform, he said, why don't Canadians have things like pharmacare and dental care and things like that? And he said, well, it's because the rich don't want you to have it. And they've run our political system in a way that has prevented you from having it. That is 100% true, and it takes that tone of class conflict. It's not that we can't afford these things. It's that wealthy and entrenched interests have used greed and political collusion to prevent you from getting those things. And I think that message is perhaps more needed in the English video. But these are just my broad kind of takes. On the whole, I'm very happy with both ads. And while I do wish the English one was a little bit more explicit on the tone of class conflict, it could just be the first salvo, introducing Jagmeet and then showing a more strident effort to challenge those forces that have denied Canadians their basic needs and desires for decades. So what do you guys think of the ads? Let me know below. I want to know, do you like the English one and the French one or the other? Do you feel that they could have borrowed from one another differently? What do you guys think? Let me know, and I'll be sure to read all of those comments. Have a good one. See you next time.